Brigadier General and the former U.S. Defense Attache to Russia. He joins us live from Newport in Rhode Island. Very good to have you on the program, sir. So the U.S. obviously has the firepower to sort of fight back the Russians on the battlefield and could even help Ukraine possibly end this. So why isn't the U.S. doing more to push back the Russians?
I served in the U.S. military for almost 35 years, and I'm an immensely proud, loyal American. However, I am heartsick. I'm aghast of what our seemingly ongoing policy of not just trying to, if you will, work with the Europeans on modifying things, but the demeaning nature of how he addresses the Europeans, how our new national security strategy diminishes the importance of the Europeans. This is not what the bulk of my country believe. I will tell you that. The majority do not believe this. What this is all doing is handing on a silver platter a major Russian objective, and that's to fracture the West and to fracture the North Atlantic Alliance, which is what NATO is. So, yes, there'll be back and forths on the negotiations, but I'm sure hoping that my country, our leadership, restates the tone. If you're going to do this, you don't do this publicly through a megaphone. You work assiduously behind the scenes to get to a common agreement or disagreement without airing it to the world, especially to our potential adversaries.
So as a former Brigadier General, are you frustrated that not more is being done on the battlefield to help Ukraine?
I know that we have done a lot to help Ukraine, and what we're watching is there are going to be history books written, whatever happens in this war, that the Ukrainians have in the fight, their determination, their creativity, and it has been extraordinary. However, it's obvious they can't do it alone. And if the Russians feel they have free rein to work their juggernaut even more so, first of all, there'll be thousands of Ukrainians dead and many more thousands of Russians dead. All of this is why. And if they're trying to, the word used is submit, which is a medieval word. If we have the West, and certainly the United States is part of that, if we allow this to happen on our watch, we know how history works. There will be subsequent chapters, and they won't be likely good. So kudos to the Europeans, both EU and NATO, and we have issues with them. They have issues with us. But for pulling together, throwing Zelenskyy a European, a life raft, and we're not out of it. We're still doing it, but our narrative right now is utterly disheartening of what the Ukrainians, they will fight their guts out. We're watching that. But to do that, they have the will to fight, but they also have to have the hope. Hope is a very, very powerful sentiment.
Yeah.
That they with that are going to do it. We, the United States, need to reevaluate what the hell we're doing, and now publicly restate our interest, because Europe is our oldest set of allies. It's a vital national interest. Ukraine and how that plays to Europe and how it is playing to Russia.
Well, sir,
by
I
the
mean,
way,
I want to ask you, from your deep understanding of what's going on in Russia and how Russians think, you know, given your history of working with Russia, how do you think that Russia is viewing what's going on here in terms of the inaction from the West?
Thank you for asking that question. This is opportunity. I think there's a side of them that will say, keep pushing, but stay back and let us implode on our own, you know, and don't give our leadership an opportunity to push back on the Russians. So first of all, they're reveling in it. They're delighting in it. And they see weakness. They see unsurety. As I said, they see a major fissure developing politically, not the people, but politically, between this administration and the Russians. Putin and the Russians are implacable. They are just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and looking to see what our reaction is. I will say there again, a lot of Americans, including a lot of politicians, also Republican politicians, do not like the way this is going, and are totally in belief that we have to continue supporting Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians.
But do you see the risk here that Europe is seeing, that if we don't stop Russia right now, one of the European countries might be next?
I think that's there. The capability is there. The Russians could look at the Baltic, certainly. Look, if Ukraine were to fall or be occupied, first of all, the Russians would have a hell of a time absorbing it, because there would be a resistance fight that would mirror those of the Second World War. Saying that, yes, they might want to test NATO in some way, which they did with their drones, and see what NATO's reaction will be. Will there be an Article 5, or will there be a coalition of the willing? The bottom line is, you know, Russia and the United Nations needs to rein in Russia, are pushing the boundaries of a follow-on conflict, like you inferred. And so this is devilishly dangerous. A stand, I think, needs to be made with Ukraine. They want to fight. They will stand. They'd love this fight to end, because it's come at a terrible cost to them. But we need to get in the West and other like-minded nations in the world our heads in the game and figure out where we're going, because the Russians are pretty clear with their intent. They want to, first of all, subjugate Ukraine. They want to break the alliance. They, I think, also would like to emasculate the European Union. And yes, there could be follow-on things. Now,
Peter,